Hey audio nerds, welcome back to the channel, or perhaps you're not an audio nerd and you're here because it's a video about a very reasonably priced IEM and you're just wondering what can you get for your money, and is getting something like the Moondrop Chu better than just using like Apple Buds or something like that that just came with your device? And the answer to that question is absolutely they are. So this is going to be a rather quick review. I mean, they're a simple IEM. They have attached wires, metal housing, very small, and they only cost, what, $20, if that, maybe $17, $18. I'm sure if you keep an eye out, you can get a really reasonable price on these IEMs at all sorts of different places. I'll throw some affiliate links down below. Now, the issue is I've got right here the Tripowin Leas, and I did a review for these a couple weeks ago, and I thought these were phenomenal for about $25. But I'm telling you, I jumped the gun just a little bit because I like the Chus better. So let's take a quick look at them. We'll see what you get, and then I'll kind of tell you how they sound and why I like them better than the Tripowin Leas. Okay, so packaging, simple package, right? It's just a little bit of plastic, a little bit of cover art. The anime girl stuff is pretty typical for Moondrops. It's got some foam. They'd come in there and they'd sit under there, and then you've got just like a little box off to the side here, and this is where your tips would come in, is this little guy here. And they do come with some decent tips. I believe somebody said the tips that they come with are actually, if you just buy them by themselves, are about like $10-13. But making these IEMs, I guess, worth like $5. I don't know. They do come with these little ear hook things because the cable is attached, as I said before. And I think that's a con, kind of. This cable is by no means bad, but I do not like these like over ear little hook things, so I didn't even use these. So really all you're doing with these guys is you're gonna take the cable and you're gonna loop it up over your ear and then put it in like that. And so this is what these guys look like once you get them in, and you can just see like how super low profile these things are. I mean, you can't even, if I'm looking straight at the camera here, you like can't even see these. And they are so comfortable and so lightweight, and yet they are still a metal build. It's still got a metal housing, right? You got a little, flare on there. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. I think it's good, adds a little bit of interest, but just so teeny tiny small. And let's compare one of these to the Leas, which are by no means a large IEM, but you can just see how tiny and compact these guys are. So very compelling in that regard. Build feels great. Like I said, it's a metal build that you're getting for like nothing. Now, is it the best quality in the world? Definitely not. I mean, if you look close, you can see like the paint isn't that great on them and things like that. But you're talking about like an under $20 IEM. So build is totally fine. Cable is totally fine. It's a rubbery feeling cable, but it doesn't tangle very bad. So you can see I'm kind of just laying it on my desk. I just wad this thing up, or I wrap it around my Xcan there, and I haven't had any issues with them tangling up. So as far as having an attached cable goes, I think it's fine. Now, do I prefer being able to buy my own cable? And so this is an aftermarket Tripowin cable that costs about $15. I can't remember what it's called, but I'll link it down below. And I really like this cable. I think it's much nicer than what the Lea came with, but it costs $15-20. So when you're adding a $15-20 cable onto like a $20 IEM, you're almost doubling the price. And that's why I'm okay with the Chus having an attached cable, because you're not tempted to spend another $20 on a cable for a $20 IEM. So you can just $20 all in on this thing, and I think that's great. You pair it up with something like the Apple dongle here, right, or whatever dongle for your phone, and you're talking some pretty great sound for like 30 bucks. And so what does that sound like on the Chus? I was pleasantly surprised with both the Lea and the Chus in just how balanced and well controlled the bass is on these IEMs. By far, when I was trying cheaper IEMs, when I was doing like my IEM madness little shootout thing that I did in March, the biggest issue with cheap IEMs was bass being bloated and muddy and just overblown and taking over things. Between these two, the Leas have more bass, but I prefer the bass on the Chus. I think it's better controlled. I think it's got better texture to it. There's like almost no bloat to these at all. And that's one of the things that really gets on my nerves when listening to IEMs specifically, it seems like. I thought that both of these IEMs are pretty conservative in their presentation as far as treble goes and those higher frequencies, which I think is a good thing because they honestly aren't going to have the resolution to compete with, higher dollar headphones and IEMs. So I think it's better to play it safe and keep those rolled back a little bit so they don't just grate on people. So the Leas have a little bit more treble presence, but again, I prefer the presentation on the Chus just because it's so well controlled and it doesn't get into or detract from anything else in the mix at all. If you're a real big treble fan, I could see you not liking these because they don't have a ton of sparkle and air to them. But again, what's there is well controlled and doesn't present any problems. The sweet spot for the Chus, though, really I think is the mid-range, and I would call the Chus a more mid-range focused headphone, and I don't really feel like that's the case with the Leas as much. The Chus are mid-range focused, which means they've got a good amount of mid-bass to them, which makes, those mid-frequency instruments and vocals sound nice and full. And I thought also they do a nice job of presenting enough detail in the mids that you really get a good sense, for like female vocals and things, they sound rich and full, but at the same time they can have that nice little rasp to them if it's appropriate in the mix. So I just found them to be quite pleasant to listen to. I thought there is a surprising amount of spatial information in the Chus for their price range. I thought that they did a reasonably good job of imaging for their price range. I mean, it's not gonna knock down like $500 IEMs or anything like that, but again, you're talking like an under $20 IEM, and this thing really has no glaring flaws to it. I spent a lot of time listening to these over the last couple weeks with my Xcan, which is kind of my favorite portable DAC amp. It's Bluetooth. I do feel like it is better resolution and does spatial information better than something like the iPhone dongle here. Okay. So I just really love this combo for a great portable set, and put the Chus in, drop the Xcan in your pocket, and you got a great sounding portable setup for walking out and about, for, doing chores around the house, things like that. That's kind of my use case for these, and for that, I think it is phenomenal. So I guess I'm kind of blown away by the Chus, and I'm just super impressed with the value that these cheaper IEMs are presenting at this point in time. I think if you've been waiting to get into some IEMs, or you don't want to spend a lot of money but you want to get a decent set to use in certain circumstances, I could recommend both of these. I think the Leas have a little more edginess to them. They're a little bit more exciting. They're not as well separated. The Chus, they fit my preference a little bit better. They're a little bit easier to listen to. There's a little bit better spatial information and separation in them. A little bit better mid-range in my opinion. So I know I spoke very highly of the Lea a couple weeks ago when I did that review, but I prefer the Chus. I think the Chus are phenomenal. This would be definitely my recommendation for IEMs if you're looking to get a set just to play around with them and see if you'll use them at all, or see if you feel like you could switch to an IEM. I love them. I love the Chus. I think they are phenomenal. As someone who's not a huge IEM listener, I think these fit my need of like, when I want some IEMs that are wired, I will be perfectly happy with these Moondrop Chus. So that's high marks in my opinion. I mean, come in with reasonable expectations and I don't think you'll be disappointed. Maybe if you're into a more exciting, full V-shape sound, you may not like the Chus. If you want a lot of sparkle in the upper end, you may not like the Chus for that. But if you're looking for an easy listening, well-balanced IEM that has some good mid-range to it and some decent bass and just is all around a good, easy listening IEM, I think you can look no further, and I would totally recommend giving them a shot. So I think that's going to do it for this one. Quick little review for you. Thank you for stopping by. Questions, comments, alternative opinions, drop those down below. There'll be links down there, affiliate links, for some of this stuff that I mentioned before. I'll also link to that Lea review if you want to go check that out. As always, I appreciate you being here, and I will see you in the next one.